All right, we are live. So welcome back to Dapp University. So today we got a lot to talk about in our live stream. We're first and foremost going to talk about the Optimism airdrop that actually did happen yesterday. Okay, on our live stream yesterday, we were talking about, hey, it's probably going to happen today, yesterday, and it did. But there were some surprises that I think a lot of people did not anticipate. A lot of people were getting super angry on Twitter, all over the web. They were just like, hey, how could this happen? So we're going to talk about that today, what happened with the Optimism airdrop, what went wrong. There's some really important lessons to understand here, especially if you're a developer, you're trying to build applications, or you're just trying to understand how the space works and navigate it properly. I'm going to talk about how you can avoid these problems and how you can get an edge in some of these airdrops when you can get a competitive edge that other people don't have whenever these types of problems pop up. So we're going to look at that. We're going to look at a lot of other updates that have happened in the space since yesterday. Again, we do these live streams Monday through Friday this channel. Just subscribe, turn on notifications. You're going to find out about those whenever we go live. We're going to answer some of your questions from the live chat here, check on the crypto markets, and a whole lot more. So if you're new around here, hey, I'm Gregory, and on this channel, I turn you into a blockchain master. So if that's what you're interested in, then smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe to this channel. And if you want to know how to master blockchain step-by-step start to finish, then head on over to dappuniversity.com/bootcamp to get started today. All right, so we got people jumping in the chat here. We got Automatic Beats, Culture Ives, CodeChap, Dale, Above Realty. See here, Zen, hope I'm saying that right. Robert, and Shul, Lee, Just Kaz, Adam, Nick, Matthew, let's see, Newbie, Cryptubi. Awesome, love it. All right, so let's jump into this. So yesterday, we had the airdrop for the Optimism token actually go live. We kind of speculated about this on our live stream yesterday. It did happen, but it did not quite go as planned. Okay, so basically, whenever you do these airdrops, you can go to the website and then just connect your wallet. If you're eligible, you can claim your tokens. But we had a massive issue where, it just wouldn't work. Most people who saw that they were eligible before got to the website and did not say they're eligible anymore, or couldn't connect their wallet, couldn't actually do the mint. Okay, so I want to go through the post-mortem here from the Optimism team and talk about some important lessons to be learned and how you can get an edge anytime something like this happens. So basically, the Optimism drop number 1 had a turbulent launch, which we finally stabilized after more than 5 hours of nonstop work. It's basically publishing a full detailed retrospective on the lessons learned later this week or next week. But let's talk about what happened. So basically, they deployed their airdrop distributor, which is basically the smart contract that lets people do the claim. So it's a Merkle tree distributor. We actually coded out a airdrop contract like this on my YouTube homepage. You can go find out about that. That tutorial shows you how to do that. And the biggest mistake is they didn't have it. They didn't make it pausable. So essentially, as soon as it was deployed live to the network, anybody could start claiming tokens, which they probably should have, which they're admitting here that they should have waited to do. So basically, when they deployed the claims UI, the website, okay, in preparation for the official announcement, they didn't realize how much traffic was going to go towards their public RPC endpoint. So what's an RPC endpoint? So if you get on MetaMask and you go, point your account to a different blockchain, I won't pull MetaMask right now. But basically, if you go to MetaMask, you select networks and you select Ethereum mainnet or some other endpoint. Let's say this is the test network. You connect to the layer 2 by specifying a new network there. So Optimism, they have a public URL that lets you talk to an Optimism node so that you can use the layer 2 scaling solution. And so basically, that public link that most people are copying and pasting their MetaMask got completely overloaded. Okay, so let's just see here. So basically, they moved massively to expand resources to help fix this problem. They chose to shut down the claims UI so that people weren't connecting to this to try to alleviate some of the problem. But still, there were lots of people who were savvy enough with the smart contract to just claim directly from the Optimistic Etherscan contract page, or they're able to just take their own user interfaces and spin them up and point it to the contract, even if it didn't have, their restrictions they're coded in there. So builders are going to build. So if you're a developer, you could have easily just gotten the open source site and spun it up on your local computer, pointed to the smart contract, and just clicked the buttons that way. Okay, so basically, they were worried about scammers doing phishing attempts, so they finally got it live and got it working. So long story short is, the issue here is not the network going down. I see a lot of people trying to dunk on Optimism. I'm not trying to dunk on Optimism by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just going through their post-mortem here and talking about some important lessons to be learned from this, and also how you can, get an edge on this in the future. So, but you have to understand, like, Optimism did not go down. Some people are trying to dunk on it and say, oh, look, layer 2s aren't useful. Optimism couldn't even handle the load. So it's not Optimism itself. All it is the public endpoint that most people have inside their MetaMask whenever they're pointing to Optimism. And you could use an alternative, okay? So you could get a different RPC endpoint and then add a custom network and connect to Optimism through a different gateway. You could theoretically run your own node, which vast majority of people aren't going to do that, but it is possible, okay? So nothing of the Optimism network actually was compromised in any way, shape, or form. That's the first thing you have to understand. So, what could you do as a developer in this case, to get an edge from most people who aren't able to claim their tokens through the UI if you want to be first? Well, even if you're not a developer, understanding how smart contracts work and being able to interact with them, on the smart contract page, on Etherscan or Optimistic Etherscan, whatever version of the Block Explorer you're using, is a huge edge. And that's one of the reasons that people who are doing DeFi, doing NFTs, some people who don't have the end goal of becoming a sophisticated developer can still benefit by understanding the basics of smart contracts and how to use them, how to see basic things in the code. Because if you can understand the functions, you have access to the functionality the website connects you to, when some other people don't. Let's say they take the UI down or something like that, okay? And also, if you are a developer, you do have the ability to take these user interfaces and spin them up, okay, to create your own versions of the websites that have functionality that maybe the development team has disabled whenever they have, deployed them live to the web. So that's basically what happened yesterday. There's a lot of drama about the Optimism token that's floating around. We can talk more about that. Again, so, if you missed out on the airdrop yesterday, the unique thing about the Optimism airdrop is it's going to have a rolling airdrop. So there are going to be more airdrops happening in the future. It's not going to be like other airdrops in the past where it's a one and done. You had to be an early user of the application. And then essentially they're going to airdrop once and that's it. That's not how it's going to work. They're going to have future airdrops, rolling in the future. Okay. So, I mean, this price action looks pretty similar to a lot of the airdrops that I see, where you kind of have this initial uncertainty about what the price is going to be, a quick pump, and then looks like it's kind of starting to go down in value a little bit. Probably because most people are just selling. Now, some people will probably wait to claim their airdrop later, because it depends on where you live. Sometimes your taxes will be based on the price at the point of claim. Okay, so you might have to some people might be waiting for that purpose. We'll see. But another reason is starting to see some sort of drama float around on Twitter about making people who sold their tokens essentially ineligible for future airdrops. So we're talking about Optimism being a rolling airdrop where they have this initial distribution and then more, airdrops after that. Well, we're already seeing governance proposals come out to say hey, if you sold your Optimism tokens on airdrop number 1, we're not going to let you become eligible for airdrop number 2. So there's already a ton of fighting about this in the governance proposals and on Twitter. People are pointing fingers and calling names, and yeah, welcome to crypto. Somebody says they have accidentally sent solutions to the Optimism contract. Ooh. So which tokens did you send to the Optimism contract? Did you send your airdrop claim, or did you just send some random tokens? Somebody says they got their Optimism and sold. Thanks, Optimism team. And you did that. Awesome. I know some people are gonna be shouldn't have sold. I'm not gonna judge anybody for selling their airdrops. I mean, they have to expect that a lot of people are gonna sell. Somebody says ETH is for the rich anyways, so of course you ever heard of MoneyGram, Western Union, how's that people? So, but that's the thing about optimism is like you can do stuff for a lot cheaper than you can on the Ethereum network, and with other layer 2s in particular, that's going to even get better over time. It's going to become even more cheaper to use. So let's see here. You said you accidentally sent the airdrop tokens to the Optimism contract itself. Well, let's actually see. I mean, the Optimism so did you send it to the airdrop contract or did you send it to the actual token contract? You sent actually sent the airdrop OP tokens to the OP contract itself. So let's see if we can help somebody out here. So if you're saying that you sent it to the actual contract itself, there may be some sort of function here where they can I don't see any kind of functionality to potentially do that. You may want to reach out to the Optimism Discord or something like that. I mean, my initial thing is they're probably gone, but you might be able to reach out to the Discord because I don't know if I'm properly understanding all the information you're providing. I don't know if they sent it to the Merkle distributor contract. That Merkle distributor contract may have some sort of like refund function or something like that. I don't have it pulled up right in front of me. Occasionally you'll see this where like certain contracts have like refund functionality. But I don't see it in the actual token itself. So some people there's a big fight about ERC20 tokens. Whether, because this is a common thing. It sucks to go through something like this. There's a common thing where people like call it transfer function, which is the function that sends tokens from one account to another on ERC20 tokens, and they accidentally put in the address of the token they're sending. Let's say you're sending Optimism token, then you copy the Optimism contract address and put in the recipient field. So there's a big push for people to say like, hey, just take the current token address and require that you can't send tokens, because you can easily code that out inside the function that sends tokens from one account to another. You can always just say require that the recipient address is not the current address of this contract. Now, the other side of that means every single person who ever calls that transfer function is going to have to pay the gas cost of passing that validity check, which is why a lot of people don't do it. Okay, because sure, while it might save somebody a hassle from accidentally sending their tokens, they're just going to get this revert message. Everybody who is not going to do that is going to have to pay the gas costs, and that's the big reason why people don't do it. Someone says, so keen for the Arbitrum airdrop if it's real. So, I mean, we'll see. There's definitely a lot of speculation around this, but, with the Optimism airdrop, I don't think we're going to be the last layer 2 scaling solution to do this. Okay, so definitely, you can kind of assume that they're all going to. I don't have the insider information on this. I'm not trying to say that I know exactly what's going to happen, but it just kind of stands to reason, right? That's what the incentives are. At some point, I think we're going to have to see layer 2s have some sort of way to, incentivize participation to run the network. And there's different strategies for doing that, but I think tokens are going to be a big part of that. Okay, so I would just assume that they are. And so we've been putting out videos that show you how to use each of these layer 2s. Definitely subscribe, turn on notifications. You're going to find out those videos whenever they go live. Somebody says, yeah, so it says free money, but it hurts when they're gone because of a mistake. Yeah, totally. It sucks. So another thing I want to talk about, and I'm probably going to do a separate video on this, but last week I did a video on reentrancy attacks for smart contracts. Basically, how to hack smart contracts, and one way is with reentrancy. Okay, reentrancy is a really common way that Solidity smart contracts get hacked. And whenever I put out that video, I got a shout out from a team over at ImmuneFi, okay, who retweeted the video, was like, hey, this is cool, check this out. And I was looking into them. So this is not a sponsored video or anything like that. I think it's cool what they're doing. So this is an opportunity basically for developers to win bounties for smart contract audits. So again, if you're trying to become a blockchain developer, I think learning at least the basics of auditing is definitely a super valuable skill, because you're going to write better smart contracts. Anytime you can save to somebody else auditing your contract, the better, more valuable you're going to be as a developer. But if you go a step beyond that and actually learn to audit smart contracts, like there's a huge upside to doing that. And so you can see companies like ImmuneFi basically is a leading bug bounty platform for DeFi with the world's largest bounties. They have $72 million in rewards available. So they've already paid out more than $10 million in big bounties. Okay, they saved over $2 billion in user funds. So, okay, so you can go check out on their site. All right, I'm just gonna pull it up. Just do this, hold on. You can check out their site here. So they have been worked with some pretty big projects for sure, like Synthetic, Sushi Swap, Nexus Mutual, and Chainlink. All right. You can see the current bounties that are up here. So up to $10 million in rewards for Wormhole, MakerDAO, okay, Aurora. So it's cool. Hackers subscribed to our newsletter are more than 35.8% more likely to earn a bounty. It's awesome. I wonder how they calculate that information. It's a good question. But yeah, I want to throw that out there again. Not a sponsored post or anything like that. They just retweeted my video whenever I put it out, and I was looking at the project. I think it's a cool opportunity for developers to explore. And there's actually a much larger list here. If you go to the, I mean, some of these are even smaller, right? Like, there's some massive millions and millions and millions. There's also, ones that have, $100,000 bounties. If you go over to the all bounties page, you can kind of read through those. So also, I mean, one thing about this is it's practice. If you are, you can start to see like what are people looking for, what are some past examples of audits that have happened in the past, and how can you sort of, go through this process and think like a bad guy, to even potentially build your own auditing portfolio. And you can see they have different protocols that are focused on different things. Like this one is focused on smart contracts, which is probably where most people start looking at if you've been watching this channel, because that's where most of your knowledge is going to be pertinent, is for smart contract development, understanding security vulnerabilities for smart contracts. So any smart contracts that would have loss of funds, so if it had a reentrancy attack, then you could disclose that. Now, the likelihood that one of these multi-million-dollar bounties is going to have a reentrancy vulnerability is probably pretty low, right? But there could be somebody on there that does it, that it's a little more, little less obvious than, you might otherwise see. So loss of funds, voting manipulation, any function outside the intended behavior of the smart contracts, redirection of funds, injection of text. So 1 million bounty for OpenSea, yeah, there totally is. So DAO governance will never work if VCs, teams, interest groups can scoop up as many tokens as they wish and overturn any decision they don't like. Your opinion on that? I mean, I do think that there is, I think there's a risk of that with DAOs. I mean, I don't think DAOs are perfect by any stretch of the imagination, and we're starting to kind of see what works with the DAO space. We've seen some creative answers to some of that. Okay. Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. This is, I think DAOs will become SBT tokens. I think DAOs will have a, I could see overlap with DAOs and soulbound tokens for sure. In terms of DAOs issuing soulbound tokens. USDC will survive the bear market. Yeah, totally. All right, let's take a quick look at the crypto markets, see how things are doing today. So yeah, it looks like things have started to dump a little bit over the past several hours. Bitcoin's down 1.6% in the last hour. Basically, just lost a day worth of gains. Ether's doing the same thing. Pretty much everybody's, well, not everybody. We have some people who are in the green on a weekly time frame. I guess this is the weekly versus the daily. But it looks like most people are back to where we started yesterday. Let's take a look here. If I had to guess, I haven't checked the stock market yet. Let's look at the NASDAQ 100. My guess it's red. Bingo, it's red. So we're seeing a lot of correlation back on with stocks and crypto right now. Okay, so I keep saying, like, I don't think there's any situation where stocks and crypto become uncorrelated, where crypto goes to the upside and stocks are neutral or bearish. Maybe for like a short period of time. Okay, but I think pretty much all assets in the equities markets and crypto, I think a lot of these financial markets are facing the same headwinds with the Fed and the economy and what's going to happen next. Until we get clarity on that, it's pretty safe to assume that things are bearish. Okay, so let's just see here. Yeah, so it it was 100%, that I was going to open this chart and equities are going to be red. Looks like that's the case. Sorry, I got a distracted message to pull up my screen here. That being said, we don't exactly know what the extent of the bearishness is going to be. Okay, so when I say bearish, I mean mostly that things are going to be, either. I think best case scenario right now is bearish chop, in the sense of, we might have some sort of short-term recovery, okay, above the current price levels, but like the likelihood that we're just going to rip off to a new all-time high and start just instantly trending higher, I think that likelihood is low. Now, it's possible. Anything's possible. We could have some big pivot from the Fed tomorrow, and everybody just goes risk on, and then the markets start turning green like crazy. It is possible, right? But I think it's not super likely. Now, the doom and gloom scenario where Bitcoin and other cryptos just eats it and goes to this like predetermined 200-week moving average, down at 20K and knives below 20K. That's what everybody thinks is going to happen. I don't know for sure, but I don't know how likely that actually is. Famous last words, not financial advice, not telling anybody to make any financial decisions based upon that opinion. But I think we're kind of caught somewhere in between those two things, which I think ultimately looks like some bearish chop. Now, we could have seen a bottom, this past week or so, with Bitcoin down at 25K, but that doesn't mean that we're going back up higher, back to all-time highs. And we could have had a temporary bottom where we get a bear market rally. A lot of people are talking about a June rally that we're overdue, because it's been, 9 red weekly candles up until Sunday, but that rally might not be sustained, and that we could see revisit to the lows, sometime later, maybe even putting in new lows later this year, because that's when we expect, the Fed to come out with their, inflation data. And really, we're just beginning the phase of quantitative tightening. We've already raised interest rates. We're just beginning QT early in June. So we haven't really gone down that road yet, and we're going to see how the markets respond to that. So I don't have a crystal ball. Anybody who thinks they knows exactly what's going to happen is probably wrong. I'll put it that way. We've seen lots of predictions not pan out like anyone expected. So my base case is that whatever happens next is probably not what most people are expecting. Because, I keep going back to, like, find me one person, and I would love to see this. I'm not telling you you can't find this person. I just have yet to find this person who said that Bitcoin was going to form a double top on basically, April, May 2021, and then form a second top in November of 2021. Again, that's completely beyond everybody's expectations. Everybody was convinced Bitcoin was going to 100K plus, and that it was going to form this nice, perfect parabola peak at that number or more, and then go into this classic. Which is too much trying to copy and paste what happened in the past to future events. And that's just not really how the world works. We talked about it yesterday in the stream, like with the halving. Everybody's like, okay, we're going into this multi-year bear market, and we just got to wait for the Bitcoin halving to kick off the next rally. And it's like, I'm still not even convinced that the Bitcoin halving really has that big of an impact on the overall crypto market. Okay. I think there is some coincidence with some of that. Does it fundamentally affect the scarcity of Bitcoin? It does, but you also have to have demand for the asset, right? And that has to increase. So, no one could predict accurately what was going to happen to the U.S. monetary policy. Some people could, but that's ultimately what popped the everything bubble. And nobody knows when we're going to see a change in direction for that and how markets are going to respond. And that's ultimately going to affect what happens to crypto. So we're kind of just flapping in the wind here until all these factors that are outside of our control get resolved, in my opinion. So let me know what y'all think down in the comment section below. And one opinion that I want to know from you all, I'll even put a tweet on my Twitter here to get a poll about this, see what you all think. I want to know what you think. For everybody who thinks that the bear markets are going to last. Now another perspective is that, these things aren't so predetermined like everybody thinks that they are, but that the bull markets and bear markets generally tend to last around the same length of time, just because that's kind of how long it takes for people to, kind of get excited about something again and sort of recover from a semi-traumatic, crash, basically. To where either the same participants want to come back or you have time for new participants to come in. Like that's kind of part of the psychology maybe. But what I want to know is if that's the case and we're in this sort of like, cycle phase of things where it takes, years to recover and years to bottom, I would say, or a year about to bottom from the peak, like we saw this back here in 2017 where we, peaked in December of 2017, and then we bottomed, basically a year later. All right, so peak to trough. Okay, so if that's about a year, and people want to sort of copy and paste that timeline to the current situation, let's just roll with it for a second. I'm not saying it's going to happen. There's lots of reasons to doubt that that's the case, but people are looking at, okay, is this the peak, or is this the peak? So are we a year out already? And then now this is roughly the bottom where we fell off a cliff right here, kind of like we did right here. Or is this the peak? And do we have to wait until November of 2022 before we ultimately find the bottom and start the bull again? That's what I want to know from you all in the comment section below. What's your opinion on that? Because lots of people think that from here, like this was by many metrics, the Bitcoin top with the relative strength index, and so many other factors, right? And that, this was sort of the dead cat bounce, and that, the bottom, might be here. So if that's the case, then we're sort of, a year into the bear market already. But yeah, I want to know what y'all think. Somebody says, I think ETH will kick it off next time. How long do I think this downturn is going to last? That's really got to do with the macro stuff that's out of our control. I'm still not 100% convinced that we're in this massive long-term downtrend. Like, the crypto could correct from its point right now, and we could, start trending back towards all-time highs. I'm not saying rip back to all-time highs like we're back to 64K, next month, and we're just ripping back to 100K. But I mean, like just starting to trend higher again. I think it's possible. Right? I think it's very possible that we have bottomed. I just don't know for sure. Because again, markets kind of tend to do what other people don't expect. Like you have to understand, there is a world where interest rates go up, QT happens, and the stock market just starts to recover. Like the Fed just had to speak. A bunch of stuff already started to collapse, like in terms of equities and all of the financial markets. Like there's a big opinion that, hey, they already did their job. Like, we've probably already bottomed and we're starting to see a recovery from here. Now that's just an opinion, right? We don't know if that's the case, but it's a possibility, and it's a possibility that crypto just did the same thing and can start the slow road recovery back to all-time highs. Now that could take months, that could take a long time, but I'm very skeptical of consensus viewpoints right now. I'll put it that way, especially over the past year, watching every consensus viewpoint just get completely invalidated. Is crypto the future? I definitely think so. Someone said Janet Yellen backtracking inflation. Yeah, I saw that. All right, everybody, that's all I got for today. As always, smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. That really helps these videos out, so then we'll be learning about blockchain. And if you're as fascinated with this technology as I am, you want to get your hands dirty, how can you get started today? You can go to my YouTube homepage. You can find my free courses there. They're like Udemy courses, but they're totally free. And if you like those and you want to take the next step, or hey, maybe you want to take a master shortcut entirely, I can show you how to become a blockchain master step-by-step, start to finish, over at dappuniversity.com/bootcamp. You don't have to be an expert to get started today. I've helped people with zero coding experience become real-world blockchain developers in a matter of months. So that's all I've got. Until next time, thanks for watching.